Uh-oh. Oh. Oh, no! Listen, before I even get started, several people owe me a friggin' apology. Because I got a handful of mean comments on my Nickel Plate 587 video saying that I shouldn't be so cynical towards this anonymous owner of 587 and that I was giving rail fans a bad name by having questions. Legitimate questions. Okay. Yeah, so, here we go. Alright. So 587's up for auction. Well, going to be up for auction. And according to the official Kentucky Steam website, it's because the owner, that anonymous owner, who I still have no idea who it is, but at this point it doesn't really matter, wasn't paying the storage fees for keeping her there. Yeah, okay. Alright. That's, I heard that before. Oh, oh boy. But. Well, to begin with, if you haven't seen my original video on Nickel Plate 587, please go watch that first, because I'm not going to recount everything I already explained in that video regarding this locomotive's whole history. But the point is, she's a steam engine, and she's been up for repair, possibly a return to operation for a really long time, and eventually she found her way down to Irvine, Kentucky, and she wound up in the hands of a private owner, which can be good, but obviously, it didn't go so hot. Now, granted, the reasons for this individual, who likely is to forever remain nameless as far as I'm concerned, again, I'm not really too worried about the specifics. They could have not paid their storage fees for a whole host of reasons. Maybe they just wound up in a bad financial situation. I mean, that's possible. But regardless, clearly there was a lawsuit involved when it comes to the storage fees for the engine, and the judgment ruled that Kentucky Steam is now permitted to auction off the locomotive to recoup those costs. This happens sometimes with property. If a person can't pay for storage fees, generally speaking, the property in question is going to be auctioned off. That's not an unusual thing, but this is a piece of heritage equipment. Where is it gonna go? Who's gonna wind up with? Will they have a chainsaw? Well, actually, I do have a bit of good news involved in this situation, because I wasn't the only one with concerns, and a handful of people did reach out to Kentucky Steam to ask them, hey, you're not gonna scrap 587, are you? And to be honest, I never really thought that was ever gonna happen, because Kentucky Steam is a heritage preservation group. That's like their whole thing. I'm pretty sure they're the kind of people that don't want this to happen. So they're going to make sure that wherever 587 winds up, she's going to someone who's actually going to take care of her. And more to the point, not only did the people who contacted Kentucky Steam get direct verification from the president of the organization saying, no, we're going to make sure she's not going to be scrapped, but also their public blurb on their own website clearly states that Kentucky Steam Heritage reserves the right to reject any and all bids, meaning that even if someone who's really excited with his scrapper's torch bids ridiculously, they can still say no, even though they're the highest bid, because clearly their intention here is to accomplish two things. Recoup those unpaid storage fees, because they're owed that money, and that's fair, but also at the same time make sure 587 is going somewhere where she's actually going to be safe. And that's good, actually. I'm okay with that. Obviously, the anonymous owner couldn't handle getting her back together. And in their defense, doing this is an incredibly difficult and expensive task. They likely simply bit off way more than they could chew, to the point they couldn't even pay the rent to store her. And, well, here we are. But she's in the hands of an actual Steam Heritage organization who are all about preservation, so I have confidence that they are going to make sure that wherever she winds up, she's going to also be in good hands. I'll leave a link to the whole blurb in the description, but basically, the bidding is going to be handled via mail, and each potential bidder is required to submit either a letter of credit or a deposit check in the amount of $5,000 with their initial bid. So already from the start, they're looking to make at least $5,000 here. I imagine it's going to go at least a bit above that, possibly a great deal more. And they're also looking to have her moved once the sale is complete. They will charge the potential buyer storage fees, but they do eventually want her out of there into a new location. And all of this combined is why I myself won't be putting in a bid. I just don't have $5,000 kicking around to lay down, nor do I have anything beyond that, which the bidding might get up to, but I'm sure some people are gonna say, well, why don't you start a GoFundMe? Yeah, that's a really great idea if I had somewhere to put 587, but I don't. Because remember, a big part of this is space. She's big. You can't just stick her in someone's driveway, you know? Unless they have a very large driveway, but you get my meaning. Like, this obviously will require extensive planning, of which there is rather limited time, since the bid deadline is just next month, February 25th. No bids will be accepted after that. She's also being sold as is Where Is. But if memory serves correctly, a lot of the work that was supposed to be done on her was done. So she might not be in that bad shape, and she has been inside with a Steam Heritage Corporation, who I'm sure certainly haven't gone out of their way to damage her or anything. As far as who will get a hold of her, where she'll wind up, whether they'll be able to actually get her back together, I have no friggin' idea. I'm recording this on January 24th. This news dropped on January 23rd, yesterday, so there's a lot I still don't know, but what I do know is don't panic, okay? I know this sort of thing can get certain members of the rail fanning community worked up in a tizzy, but based on who's doing the selling and what their intentions are, I'm fairly confident that 587 is going to wind up somewhere where she'll be safe. And ideally, put back together. But I think safe is the best we can ask for right now. And Kentucky Steam seems to be trying their absolute best to make sure that that will be the case. Till next time, this is Darkness, and I bid you all a fond farewell.